What it do, Chillington crew, Aquarian OG, and I'm back with a video for you. Let's go.
This place got a new face, killing Joe's face, got a Joe take, chilling in a new fade. Loose space in a new place, what did he say? Eat a tic-tac, feeling like a true play. Step back and I never say no, I was winning over there, now I'm spinning out of flow. Got a feeling in the air, but I'm feeling kinda low. Got a ceiling over here, and I think it's gonna blow. Hey, this place got a new face, killing Joe's face.
We're scrolling through these videos, and I know a bunch of y'all don't know that I'm a chef in real life. By trade. Of course, I'm not doing that right now with the COVID days, but you know how that is. Still cooking professionally at home. You know, we got to get it going on. You know, we got to keep it going strong. Anyway, I came across 15 most harmful foods people keep eating. Instant interest. Let's go.
We're lucky in this modern world to have such a variety of choices when it comes to the food that we eat.
Damn. Really gotta be all like that?
But there are
all
still countless products that, while they
squishy?
may taste delicious, aren't exactly good for our health.
Why they
It's
got
almost unbelievable what some folk are willing to put in their mouths despite knowing the
Was that
potential
tripe?
consequences. So let's
I thought I
take a
saw
look
some
at
tripe.
the 15 most harmful foods people keep eating.
Americano.
Number 15, Doritos.
Really?
Doritos are the ultimate comfort snack and go perfectly with the game on TV
Doritos?
or to
That's
satisfy
so
a
sad.
munchy craving. But the way they're made means that the pleasure you get comes at a massive cost. Their name is supposedly broken Spanish for little bits of gold.
Not Doritos. I don't know how to feel about this now. This was not a good idea. I don't like, not Doritos. Doritos. Not my delicious, crunchy, perfectly spiced. Goes down with everything you can drink real nice. Doritos is like the Dr. Pepper of potato chips. Not Doritos. I'm so sad. Let's see why.
Gold. But you'd probably be better just eating gold instead of Doritos. To break up the niacin inside the
Gold?
corn that they're made from, they are heated and steeped in an alkaline solution, and means that each chip is packed full of corn oil, sunflower oil, and soybean oil.
Why 3 oils?
They are more than 29% pure fat, and have another dark secret hidden within. Have you ever noticed how you always want to keep eating more and more? Well,
What, they got
that's
drug
not
in 'em?
purely because you're succumbing to greed, but because the chemicals they contain activate a hedonistic response within your brain chemistry and make you yearn for even more fat in your system. This is all before you think about the flavorings and chemicals they add to give them the taste and appearance that they're known for. Take a look at what a bag of
You mean to tell me I'm a drug addict? Wow. What happened to that kid's tongue? They blaming that on Doritos? Oh, that's just wrong. That kid's tongue is fucked. Wow, that's crazy. Damn, Doritos, you a drug addict. He got bodily sores. Look at him.
taste and appearance that they're known for. Take a look at what a bag of Doritos did to a child's tongue some time ago. Incredible.
Why?
Before we go on, we have a cool
They didn't say
challenge for
how.
y'all that will take 5 seconds to complete.
I'm only gonna
Let's
partially
make a
believe
deal.
that one. They didn't
Just
say
leave
how.
a like on this
You gotta
video,
give me the
smash
receipt.
that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and
I'm
you will
just
get
saying.
10 years
Receipt,
of
please.
amazing luck and fortune. Try it. It actually works.
What the hell?
Number 14, instant noodles.
No.
We've
well,
all
I kinda
been
knew that
there
was
after
bad.
a long day's work and starving.
That's
The
not a
easiest
surprise.
thing to do
And
is
all this-
boil
the
some
oil that
water
comes
in a
off of
kettle
them things,
and
they
pour
dry
it
and they
over a
oily?
packet of ramen. I know what you're thinking. What's wrong with that? Well,
Yeah,
it
there's a lot
turns
wrong
out
with ramen
a
noodles.
lot. The problem is the chemicals that are added to them to make sure they have a long enough shelf life that they can be kept in your cupboard for months without deteriorating. They are highly processed and usually contain monosodium glutamate, also known as the infamous MSG, along with tertiary butyl hydroquinone, which is actually a byproduct of the petroleum industry. These add to the flavor, but means that instant noodles contain very little nutritious content.
Yeah, I could have told you that one.
And have large amounts of fat, sodium, artificial colors, additives, and flavors. They therefore contribute to obesity, digestion issues, and have been linked with serious intestinal diseases. But they're so easy and taste delicious, so most people don't think twice. Having them occasionally alongside a healthy diet won't do you much harm. But if you eat them regularly, it's probably time you started to learn how to properly cook for yourself. Number 13, fruit juice.
What?
Possibly the most dangerous drink you can have is fruit juice. Not necessarily because it contains as many harmful additives as other drinks you can buy, but because it comes from fruit, most people assume it's actually quite healthy and drink it in much larger quantities. Unfortunately, this is a mistake and can lead to serious health complications. A glass of fruit juice is often said to count towards your daily fruit and vegetable intake, but recent research is suggesting this advice should be withdrawn. Most of the health benefits from fruit come from the flesh where there are the most fiber and nutrients. But this is all lost when producing juice. Instead, all of the sugary sweet goodness from the fruit is removed and concentrated. And even though it contains natural sugars, these most definitely aren't good for you and consumed in large amounts and can lead to heart issues and obesity. Some schools are now banning fruit juices from children's lunches, and it may not be long until they're classified in the same category as soda. Of course, in moderation, fruit juice is fine, but at most, a small glass a day is all you should have. Number 12, Coke and Pepsi.
Yeah, could have told you that one.
Coke and Pepsi are the two most popular soft drinks on the planet, selling millions of bottles per day. But as the obesity crisis becomes more prevalent, these products have found themselves right at the center of it. Yes, they contain large amounts of sugar, which can be as much as 3 tablespoons of the white stuff in every can. And while this contributes to bad health and an increase in weight, the real danger in cola drinks is the amount of caffeine that they contain. It's a stimulant and grants you a temporary boost in energy. But if you have too much of it, you will begin to feel more tense, become more tired, and start gaining weight. The reason why caffeine is more of a problem than the sugar is that it's even present in the so-called diet versions of the drink, which give the illusion that all the bad ingredients have been removed. Every glass of soda, whether it's regular or diet, increases the risk of obesity by 1.6 times, and there's virtually no nutritious benefit to outweigh this. Furthermore, while a cold glass of Coke might feel like it's the most refreshing thing you can possibly buy, caffeine acts as a diuretic and will make you urinate more. So in the long term, you'll end up more dehydrated than when you started. Number 11, deep fried snacks.
Yeah.
It may not come as such a great surprise to you that deep-fried snacks are harmful to your health, but even knowing this doesn't stop people from eating them in large quantities. The snacks, which are often made from potato, maize, or flour-based products, have submerged in oil to cook and absorb large amounts of it in the process. Not only does it fill every empty pore of the foodstuff, but it removes anything of any nutritional value and results in a greasy, delicious-tasting nightmare. Deep-fried snacks contain huge amounts of calories and provide no useful nutrients.
Yeah, he said delicious.
But this isn't the worst thing about them. The oil that they're cooked in is usually hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated vegetable oil, which you've probably heard of under another name, trans fat. This substance is purposefully altered to increase the shelf life of the products, but comes at a serious health cost. It significantly increases the number of calories and cholesterol that the customers ingest, and has direct links with increasing the chances that you'll suffer from heart disease or a stroke. Number 10, biscuits.
What?
There's nothing quite like starting the day with a hot cup of tea or coffee that's accompanied by a biscuit, and it's a tradition enjoyed by millions of people around the world. There is, however, a hidden danger.
Not
And while most have, at some point, decided to keep an eye on how much they're drinking, they rarely pay attention to the snacks they're eating during their break too. In India, for example, it's now thought to be one of the main reasons for bad health and could be affecting far more people elsewhere too. Eating a biscuit has been found in a number of studies to actually stimulate the same sensorial parts of your brain as cocaine and morphine, which leads to further craving and even a slight addiction to them. This encourages you to eat far more than you should, and since they're packed full of sugars and fats, can have a detrimental impact on your cardiovascular system, your digestion, and, of course, lead to weight gain too. Next time you have a plate of biscuits in front of you, just stick to one and avoid the temptation to keep having more. Number 9. Pizza. Pizza is undoubtedly one of the most pleasurable and greatest foods ever created.
I'm not giving up my pizza,
no party or social gathering is complete without a pie on the table. With countless restaurants and takeout serving them, they're by far the most popular delivery food in the world. And people are...
I'm not quitting on you, pizza. I'm not quitting on you, pizza. We're going down together, pizza. We're going down together.
Are increasingly eating more and more. Next time you order an entire pizza for yourself, remember just how bad it is and how long you'll be working it off in the gym. A pepperoni pizza, for example, contains 311 calories, 13.5 grams of fat, and 720 milligrams of sodium.
Sodium's bad.
Now, have you ever just had one slice? It's so easy to keep eating pizza that the number of unhealthy substances you're ingesting soon adds up far more than the recommended daily allowance, and will lead to weight gain, heart problems, and the solidification of fat within your arteries. It's believed by many researchers to be one of the main causes of the obesity crisis in the US. But the combination of dough, cheese, meat, and tomato releases endorphins in the brain that makes you crave for more. In moderation, it's fine, but the way most of us eat it is very, very harmful. Number 8.
Also true.
Reduced fat peanut butter. Who doesn't like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or Reese's Pieces, or anything else that...
Reduced fat peanut butter is just nasty anyway. It's the fat in the peanut butter that makes it taste so good. Reduced fat peanut butter. Yuck. And cheap peanut butter. Don't buy cheap peanut butter. That is the nastiest. Cheap peanut butter and cheap syrup. Two things you better to go out and buy the good stuff. You come home with some... You ever put some nasty cheap syrup on your pancake, not expecting it to taste like that? Oh my God. It'll make you hate pancakes. What was his name of this syrup my dad used to get? It was some kind of corn syrup. A Goye or something like that. It wasn't agave, but it was a Goyes. It was some kind. It was nasty. It was clear. Oh my God. Man, this list is getting depressing. All right, let's continue to depress ourselves and make myself hungry.
That has peanut butter in it. Made from ground peanuts, oil, sugar, and various other additives, most people probably know it's no good for them, so might try an alternative like a reduced fat version. But despite this seeming like a healthier option, it's probably worse for you than the regular stuff. The reason for this is that when you reduce or remove the fat, you're left with a product that doesn't taste very nice at all.
That organ removed.
And has a crumbly texture. To get around this, manufacturers have to add extra ingredients to improve it, and the best ones to do this are sugar and cornstarch. This actually results in a spread that has just as many calories as the full-fat version, but with fewer nutrients of any benefit, because the natural fats are replaced with refined ingredients. Don't fall for the marketing trick of calling it reduced fat.
Just eat the real stuff.
Technically true, it most definitely doesn't make it a healthy option. Number 7. Cheese in a can.
Oh, I could have told you this
Every time you squeeze cheese from a can, there is a long dead French food expert turning in his grave. But beyond
was it
the
called,
complete
back in the day?
abomination that the product is from a culinary perspective,
Cheese whip.
it's also terrible for the insides of
Or,
your body. In fact, it's not really cheese at all,
No,
and
what
is
was it
one of the
called?
most highly processed foodstuffs that's available in
Cheese
stores.
whiz, yeah,
It's
there it
made
is.
mainly with water, which accounts for up to 60% of it, with the rest being made up of milk fats, oils, countless stabilizing ingredients, and chemicals
course.
to maintain the texture and, of course, large amounts of flavorings to make the paste somewhat recognizable as cheese.
Of
Sure,
course.
it might be fun, it might taste nice to some
It's
people, and it might be
Freaking
cheap.
Worse. That stuff is terrible. It was
But
good
it's
back in the
also
day.
probably staining your
But now
throat
that I know
and
better,
stomach with a bright
stain
yellow
your
color
throat.
and causing untold damage because of the ingredients. If you want something to taste of
He said, stain my throat. I'm not trying to eat nothing that's gonna stain my throat. Well, I ain't never heard of nobody's throat having stains on it. What? How in the hell do you stain one's throat? Stain? Your throat is jaundiced. Yo, my throat got stains on it. What kind of what? Yeah, I'm done with this. Staining your throat. I ain't never heard of that.
cheese, then your best bet is to use cheese, because at least it has some
Duh.
nutritional benefits that can justify the fats that you're also eating. Number 6, sausages and hot dogs.
Could
The
have
idea
told
that
you this one.
sausages might be bad for you is
Hot dog
probably the
paste.
worst news from a food perspective that you could ever hear. They're popular
Look, they
cuisines
got that
around
hot
the world,
dogs
from
and the
Germany,
anarchy
where there
symbol.
are more than 1,500 varieties, the UK, where they love to eat bangers and mash, and the US.
What the hell is the stripe on those hot dogs? Or whatever the sausage is? I ain't never seen no striped sausage. This sausage got a mud vein in it. You better cut that out of there.
Where you can hardly walk past
That
an
don't even look
intersection
right.
in New York without seeing someone selling hot dogs. But this is a foodstuff that should be eaten rarely because the health consequences can be severe. The International
believe it.
Agency for Research on Cancer reviewed more than 800 different studies that were conducted in 10 countries and looked at the effect of eating processed meat
What is
on
a-
the colon. They found that just 50 grams of meat per day, which is the equivalent of just one hot dog sausage, is enough to increase your chances of colon. They found that just 50 grams of
I had to look at that again. That look like chitlins. Or as they say outside of the hood, chitterlings. It's chitlins in the hood, it's chitterlings outside the hood. Wow. That's freaking disgusting.
meat per day, which is the equivalent of just one hot dog sausage, is enough to increase your chances of developing colorectal cancer by almost 20%. Furthermore, reviews of death statistics from around the world analyzed 150,000 fatalities that occurred due to heart disease and found a statistically significant correlation of dying for cardiovascular problems and found
you
a
eating them
statistically
roller hot
significant
dogs? That's what's
correlation
wrong with
of
you.
dying for cardiovascular problems and
Let's
eating
take something
red
that's really bad
processed
and
meat.
make it
Number
worse.
5, Spam.
Oh, Hawaiians.
Spam is that strange meat that you can see in cans in stores, but for
They
some
ain't lying.
reason
It is
isn't being
strange.
kept in a refrigerator. And while it may have been popular during times
When
of
your meat
rationing
don't get
and
old,
might taste nice to some people,
and it just sit in
the
the
way
can
that
for
it's
years.
produced to have such a long shelf life means that it contains a
I'm
number
saying.
of harmful chemicals. It contains very low levels of useful nutrients like protein, vitamins, or minerals, and is instead
just salty
packed with fat,
taste
calories,
and
and
gel.
sodium to improve the flavor. Furthermore, it is highly processed and contains countless ingredients,
Spam and Reese's, all right.
I love Spam and Reese's. Can I have it?
such as sodium nitrate, which helps stabilize it and allow it to be stored for years on end. Eating large amounts of Spam will increase your cholesterol, thicken your arteries so your heart has to work harder, and put increased strain on your entire cardiovascular system. It also means you miss out on the nutrients that you actually need, so should only be eaten in small quantities, if at all. Now we live in a world where plenty of
Right,
different
if
foods
at
are
all.
available. It might be about time we consigned Spam to the history books. Number 4, donuts.
No, not donuts. But I kind of knew that. I just want to see how this just flopped right out the can again. You could hear it as you watch it with that sucking gel noise, that when it comes out of the can. You know that that
Now, we live in a world where plenty of different foods are
you can
available.
hear it when watching.
It might be about time we consigned spam
You
to
hear it
the
in your
history
head?
books. Number 4. Donuts.
I'm so sad.
Donuts.
Right?
As a famous fat yellow cartoon character once said,
He said a
and
fat
he
yellow
wasn't wrong.
cartoon.
They're one of the most popular sweet treats around the world, and are available in countless different shapes and flavors. But as with everything that tastes so delicious, they pose a serious health problem if consumed in
Deep
too high a
fried
quantity. Take
bread,
an original Krispy Kreme donut, for
sugar,
example. They each contain 11 grams of
preservatives.
fat, 5 grams of which are saturated fats, and they're so moreish that there's surely no one that's been able to eat just one in a sitting. An original donut from Dunkin' Donuts has 6 grams of saturated fats, which is almost a
know.
third of your daily recommended intake. And regularly
only
going
eat
over a
2.
daily limit creates long-term problems with your cardiovascular system,
Oh damn.
causes obesity, and will likely lead to a premature death. And that's before you take into
Oh,
account
damn.
the heightened sugar content too. To give an idea of how
Diabetes.
bad donuts are compared to other snacks, a
Ooh.
chocolate chip cookie has just 2.4 grams of saturated fat, which isn't particularly good, but is much better
Fruity
than
Pebble
those
donut?
delicious balls
Yeah.
of fried batter. Number 3, fast food burgers. No matter where you are in the world, you're never
Not
too
the
far away from
burger.
a recognizable fast food burger outlet where you'll be able to get a reassuringly tasty meal for a reasonable price. But you might be taking your health
Nom,
into your
nom,
own hands
nom,
if you regularly eat burgers from these places. Yes, there's a concern about the type of meat and other ingredients that are used, but the biggest risk actually comes from the cooking process itself. Most fast food chains cook more than their current demand, so they have stock available to sell as soon as a customer walks in. So to enable this to happen, they don't fully
pretzel
cook the
bun.
patties on the grill and leave them in a warmer, where the cooking process is slowly completed. This means that by the time it's in your hands, it'll be perfect. Or at least that's how it's meant to work. But what if you're given it almost straight away? Well, that means you're probably eating raw meat, and this could give you food poisoning, digestive issues, and potentially far worse problems. You should also never order the least popular items, because they more than likely just cook a few of these and leave them under the warmer all day. So you're
This is
potentially
true.
buying a piece of meat or fish that's
That's
been
all.
lying around for several hours after being cooked. Number
Well, I
2,
don't know about several
raw
hours.
oysters. Oysters are an
Raw
acquired
oysters?
taste
Yeah, I
and certainly
coulda
aren't
told
for
you that.
everyone. But if you
They're
are going
great.
to eat one, you had better make
I
sure
like 'em.
it's fully cooked first.
definitely
You might be a
fresh.
believer that the more raw an ingredient is, the better it'll taste. But once you hear about what oysters contain, you'll surely agree
Yeah, they got
that
a
they
little
aren't safe to
nastiness
eat
to 'em.
straight
They're
out
a
of the
bad
water.
thing.
In recent
They would
years,
tear
a
your
number
world
of
up.
people have become ill in places like British Columbia and the UK after eating oysters, which health officials believe weren't fully cooked. Some ended up in hospital, and, after testing, were found to have contracted norovirus. This isn't something that's naturally occurring in oysters, but is known to be present in human excrement, and led to the horrifying realization that almost 70% of raw
The
oysters
oysters
that are
was grown
sold
in
contain
human
norovirus
feces.
because they have been caught from water that contains human waste. The beds where they grow can become easily contaminated by sewage outflow pipes or even by the people
That's
who are there
just
to harvest
freaking
them. So if you
disgusting.
want to make sure you never eat fecal particles from another person, your best bet would be to stay away from oysters altogether. Number 1, boxed cereal. There's no better way to start your morning than by opening
Saturday
a box of
morning.
cereal, pouring fresh milk over it, and eating it
With some
before you rush off to
cartoons.
school or work. Is there? For generations, we've been told that cereals provide the energy
Man.
and nutrition we need for a productive day. But
Yeah, we
studies
found
have
out that's a
proved
lie.
that this isn't exactly the case. The first problem is that many cereal crops these days are genetically modified to increase yields and reduce the chance of crop failures. It's now known that the
Yep.
prevalence of GMOs in the food supply have caused
Kicks.
far
Wow,
more
I ain't
cases
seen
of
that in a
allergies,
minute.
digestive issues, liver disease, and a reduction in fertility. and cereals have been linked
That's
with
like,
all of
what,
these. The
aspartame or
other
something
problem
like that?
is the way
The
that they are
aspartame stuff?
processed. In the factory, the
Puffs.
grains are mixed with water and churned
Never heard
together
that.
to make a sludge before being shaped into the familiar flakes, rings, stars, and puffs that we love. Once molded, they are sprayed with oil and sugar to ensure they retain their shape and crunch. But this process removes virtually all nutritious benefit from the ingredients. Even the extra
Oh, wow.
vitamins and minerals that are added to the sludge are, ultimately, removed by the process before the cereal is packaged. So by the time it's in your bowl, it's just
So they added
sugar,
them and took them out.
flavor, and
They was
crunchy
there.
nothingness. Which of these do
They
you
ain't
eat
there for you when
regularly?
you'd eat 'em.
And did you realize that
Man, that's a sad list. That list is a bad beat. I felt picked on. I think they was paying attention to me at the dinner table. That's just sad. That's depressing. At least they didn't put some of my top favorites on there. Man, my top. They got a couple of stingers on there. They got like the burger. Man, that's just sad. Hey, I can't call it. I'm gonna have to make healthier burgers or something, or stop eating out at other places and burgers. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just shocked and appalled. Nah, I'm alright. Yo, catch y'all on the next video. Chillington out. Deuces on the flips. If you didn't hit that sub button, make sure you get it. Please help out me. Alright, yo. Catch y'all in the next vid.